Now, we were asked a lot of people if they could go ahead and come out and speak here. Even called up the governor, and he said, Chuck, I'd really love to come up, but I got so many things I got to do. Unfortunately, he's got fundraisers, and he's got all kinds of other things he has to go ahead and cover in the cause of conservatism, so he couldn't make it. But instead, he gave us a letter. Well, I was going to go ahead and read the letter, but I thought it would be a little bit more appropriate if I brought out Scott Walker's stunt double, Paris Prokopis.
Where's his bald spot?
I have more hair, but that's okay. They were talking about teleprompters earlier. I got to tell them, Mr. President, iPad has an app for that. Okay, here's a letter from the governor. It says, fellow Americans, last June, voters went to the polls in Wisconsin's historical recall election, and a silent majority cast their ballots to deliver a win for the hardworking taxpayers. Facing millions of dollars spent by out-of-state special interests, we started a ground-up grassroots movement, that's us folks, in Wisconsin for limited government, lower taxes, a balanced budget, and more jobs. As we head to November, we'll see the same special interests attempt to influence the presidential election. And we will need all the grassroots energy available to overcome the big government Obama political machine. In 2008, candidate Barack Obama called Americans' debt unpatriotic. Now, after nearly 4 years of his failed policies, President Obama has added $5 trillion to our debt. Boo. That's not yet, guys. This is Scott. And you're messing with my teleprompter, darn it. Now I know how Obama feels when you can't speak without a teleprompter. That's over $16,000 for every man, woman, and child in Wisconsin. At this rate, we literally cannot afford Barack Obama as president for another 4 years. As our debt reaches at paralyzing levels of European nations and China gains ground on America, in the world economy, we must accept the doing. Sorry, guys, I'm reading this. We must not accept the doing fine attitude this president speaks of. A vote for a second term for Obama is admitting that America's best days are behind her. I believe that America's best days are ahead, but we cannot stand idly by and watch our government go against the principles upon which this nation was founded. We must work hard to stand up for what has made America the greatest nation on earth. I want to share with you an important passage from Wisconsin's Constitution. Article 1, Section 22 reads so eloquently, "The blessings of a free government can only be maintained by a firm adherence to justice, moderation, temperance, frugality, and virtue, and by frequent recurrence to fundamental principles." As we saw in Wisconsin, when conservatives unite behind the fundamental principles of frugality and moderation in government, we will see freedom and prosperity for we the people. The coming presidential election is the most important election in a generation, and too much is at stake for us to sit on our hands and watch this turning point in American history pass us by. Now is the time to act and speak out for what we believe in. I want to thank you all for what you're doing in advance of the cause of human freedom and limited government. Keep up the fight. Sincerely, Scott Walker, the 45th governor of the state. I am not Scott Walker, but I do approve the message. Let's talk about that a little bit. Here, last year, all we heard from all the people running around with all their signs and stinking up the Capitol, this is what democracy looks like. Well, guess what? We had an election in June. We showed them what democracy looks like. Now, all of a sudden, they don't like democracy anymore. So they turn to the courts. Activist judges trying to change laws that were passed by the legislature. So you've got one house overruling another house. Is that the way democracy is? But when you think about it, we don't have a democracy. We have a republic, right? Yes. That's right. And we have a Constitution that says we are entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Constitution does not guarantee happiness, right? We make our own happiness. Yes, it's true. And I'm happy because I've got a microphone in my hand. So I wrote this speech, but a number of you were probably placing bets how quickly I get off script, so here I go. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. We saw a massive turnout in June to re-elect Scott Walker because the recall was wrong. But right now, I mean, what was happening with all the Republican Party headquarters and that type of thing, they were bursting at the seams. They had so many people knocking on the doors just to help. They wanted to help, they wanted to help, they wanted to help. Now, people got kind of burned out after all. We've been campaigning for a year and a half, right? So we need people to get their energy back. We need the fire in the belly. Justice Roberts did something back in August that should have us all fired up. It was a gift, my friends. It should get you fired up because we've got the passion to get our guy over the finish line. And we saw a debate the other night. And I said earlier, it was as if Mitt Romney was channeling Ronald Reagan. We finally have somebody who's willing to fight the fight. Not someone who's afraid of Barack Obama. Not someone who's afraid of being called insensitive or, we just don't want to hurt his feelings. And now we see that a lot of his fans want him to have a teleprompter for the debates. Well, we all see how good teleprompters are. But, that's because he doesn't speak from the heart. When he speaks from the heart, when he talks off the teleprompter, we start to see what the real Barack Obama is. Is that what you wanted the White House for another 4 years? No! I fear, and I think it's this serious, and I've said this before in other places that I spoke, I really fear that our nation will fracture if he gets reelected. It's not fear-mongering. We're starting to see it out there. There's going to be 10th Amendment battles all over the place. This is serious stuff. The fate of our nation, the very concept of the American dream is at stake. But Mitt Romney winning, and he has a good chance to win, but let's face it, Barack Obama has a chance to win. If you don't get up and work, if you don't talk to other people, Barack Obama will get reelected. We can't let that happen. We cannot go quietly into the night and just go on our merry way. But Mitt Romney winning the presidency is not the only thing. We need to get the Senate or it's game over. Obamacare becomes implemented, and that's the end of the American experiment, right there. So, we need to make sure that Governor Tommy Thompson wins his Senate seat. He wins our Senate seat. Governor Thompson will be that crucial 51st vote. It's important. Smile. I need tickle fingers. It is that important. So we got to get that. We need to have a perfect storm on November 6th. We have got to win the Senate seat. We've got to win all of our congressional seats. And we've got to win the presidency. But then, folks, it's not over. You have to keep the fire in your belly. Want to know why? Because in 2001, Republicans controlled the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And we had a majority in the Supreme Court. Guess what? We went to sleep and the Republicans started acting like Democrats. Are you going to let that happen again? No! Why? Because we want our freedom. We're all united in freedom. We need to make sure that we hold even the Republicans accountable for everything. We need to make sure that they follow through on their promise to end Obamacare. We need to make sure they put something in place with 60 votes. And that's another reason that we need someone like Tommy Thompson, someone who can reach across the aisle and work with people in the Senate to get this thing done. Because otherwise, they're just going to replace it when they regain power again. So we need to make sure that this happens with a majority, a supermajority, something that everybody can agree on, because there are good ideas all over the place. not all of them got considered. Not a single Republican idea, conservative idea got considered back in when Obamacare was kind of pushed through. So, this is what I want you to do. When you guys get home tonight, before you guys go home tonight, try to go to the Fond du Lac Victory Center or wherever you're from, Waukesha, Milwaukee, whatever, go and make some phone calls. Do that. But phone calls isn't enough. Phone calls can get you maybe 2% of the vote. Mitt Romney needs to win with a large majority like Scott Walker won in June. We won with a large percentage, so it wasn't a victory. It was a mandate. We need to have a mandate in 2013. We need to undo what was done. Ronald Reagan had less than 10 executive orders in 8 years. Less than 10. Barack Obama has several hundred. We've got a lot of damage to undo. Don't go to sleep. Talk to at least 10 more people. And out of those people, have them talk to 10 more people. Get on Facebook, get on Twitter. Do everything you can do. Go to organizations like Citizens for Responsible Government that are doing the Manhattan Project to get people to vote. Make sure that David Prosser is not nullified. Because if David Prosser has to recuse himself, the lower courts have the power. And who has the power in Dane County? I wish it was us, trust me. So anyway, without further ado, I want to introduce the son of our former governor, who was our governor for 16 years? 14 years. And now he's asking for your vote for the United States Senate. Unfortunately, Governor Thompson couldn't be here because it's kind of hard. We haven't invented the transporter yet, so we can't get people in more places than one. So here is Jason Thompson, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon.